just going through this because nature only works with what is locally available. And as usual, there are exceptions. There are migratory birds and butterflies. But nature works with what is locally available. If we get our economies to be based on what is locally available, it would shift dramatically in sustainability. Non-linear models are the basis. This is perhaps the greatest difficulty we have with our teachers. We don't have teachers who can teach non-linear models, non-linear mathematics. We don't have them. I only know of a few universities in America that teach non-linear mathematics. Carnegie Mellon is on the top. We're going into straight lines. We are demonstrating our capacity to be unsustainable. Just about everything in nature is not in a straight line. And the main reason is, again, physics. Straight lines have more friction than anything else. You have to overcome more energy resisting you than you could generate. And therefore, the rivers meander because that's the easiest way to move forward. That's the least efficient, that's the least energy-intensive way of moving forward. And any of you who's a sailor, who's sailing, try to sail in a straight line. Forget it, you're not getting anywhere. And so this is really what we know that we practice, but then we forget it. Okay. The apple goes down in a straight line, but the ingredients never went up in a straight line.
Physics or biology?
Well, but this is also very much physics, because the way it moves is, and the reason is that we know very well that the gravity force that pulls us down to the earth, you just can't resist it going straight up. I know the military has been working on that for a lot. I need to have guidance from the organizers here. You know, Margie, you got to tell me when to stop, because we said we stop at 12 and we do a little introduction on the workshops before.
Yeah, and since we started a little late, you've got 10 minutes to 12. If
Okay.
everyone can take the hour lunch and be back here promptly at 1 or 10 minutes after, we'll do the 3 presentations right after, and you can choose your.
Okay. Okay, great. An agreement?
Yes.
Okay? Persevere. Now, all logic in industry is linear, and whatever is not linear is converted to linear. That means we are continuously making abstraction of reality, and then we call it smart. The problem is that one of the biggest problems we have is CAD/CAM systems. In CAD/CAM systems, it's just never possible to think through without the straight lines. And whenever you have a curve, you will still use the mathematics to convert the curve into all little small straight lines. We are so obsessed with the straight line, and our mind is never straight. Doesn't mean that you're crooked, but it's the straight line that is a real challenge for us. And yes, if we only teach linear mathematics, you can never be sustainable. It's not possible. We only teach how the apple goes down. We never teach how the apple goes up. How can we be sustainable? We never even figure out how we went up. And I tell you, when you teach kids how to defy a law, they're interested. And you defy the law making use of laws. Oh, this looks like we're preparing lawyers. This is very important for one. Everything in nature is biodegradable, just a matter of time. In industry, if something is biodegradable, it's not sustainable. This is one of the biggest problems we have. We have embraced biodegradability, but we've forgotten that biodegradability has nothing to see with sustainability. You know the company called Nature Works? It sucks. Nature Works is one of the biggest hijacks of natural principles in marketing campaigns. It's done by Cargill. Cargill, as you know, is the wealthiest privately held company in the world. It doesn't report profits, it doesn't report results. It somehow evades all transparencies. And they are the biggest traders of corn in the world. 25% of world trade in corn goes through the company called Cargill. And if I'm the trader of corn, I would be interested to have uses for corn so people can eat, uses for corn so people can fuel up, and uses for corn so we can have plastics. And if I have 3 people wanting corn, my prices go up and I make more profits. Very sensible if you're in charge of the privately held company Cargill. But how biodegradable is plastics made from corn?
Virtually not, unless you put it in a high heat environmental pressure.
Now, you may not know that I used to live in Nebraska. One of my hidden big secrets is I lived for a year in Nebraska. You talk about corn, I know about corn. You talk about the corn huskers, I know about the corn huskers. And what I do realize is that when you are planting genetically modified corn that has a higher content of starch, today you need to use 10% more irrigation water. Now, what's the status of the Ogallala aquifer?
10 to 20 years left.
So now we're going to have a bioplastic that will use more irrigation water, which needs a triple chemical process, including genetically modified enzymes made by a Danish company that gets environmental awards. It's called Novozymes. And this company in Denmark gets environmental awards for genetically modifying enzymes in nature so that you can have bioplastics. How sustainable does that sound? It is pretty amazing. There is another company in Europe, it's called Novamont. Have you ever heard of that one? They made the bioplastics, and they determine actually the long life of the plastic by the space in between the molecules. Space management is what makes the difference. Sounds like physics. And the conversion is done with a fungus that operates at only 40 degrees Celsius instead of having the 180 degrees Celsius that is used in order to make the bioplastics called PLA, polylactic acids. It's amazing that you will have most of the green companies of America embracing corn starch-based plastics with GMO, and with increased water consumption, and it's called green. It's one of the reasons why I don't want to be called green, because that association is amazing. You know Carlo Petrini? Carlo Petrini, Slow Food? You know the new company they set up called Italy? You know the last Slow Food Festival? That was in 2008. In that Slow Food Festival, Nature Works was the standard plastic used. And I refused to go to the meeting. I canceled my participation. And I told Carlo, non di più, no more. And so the next one, there's not going to be Nature Works. But I said, that's not enough. You got to do a public apology to all your friends around the world that Nature Works had a chance to penetrate right inside the slow food movement and therefore got a license to sell to just about everyone around the world because you were fooled by the title Nature Works.